All right. Hello, everyone.
The moment you've all been waiting for.
This is the legendary game of the search for Amelia Earhart. I'm Deathline, and joining me on commentary is...
Poke Hero, hi.
Hello. So, the search for Amelia Earhart, playing on Calithon, because I can only have 7 characters on a profile name. So everyone, you don't get the Calithon, you get the Calithon. But yeah, we're gonna go search for Amelia Earhart. So time will start when I say go. So 3, 2, 1, go. We play as Christine. She's a psychic. She really likes Amelia Earhart. This is our landlord.
You're not very tidy for a woman, right?
Well, blah 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 blah.
Maybe instead of using your time doing men's work, you should take better care of your apartment, and then bake me a nice cake, like a good girl.
With a smile. So yeah, that's our evil landlord, who's kind of mean to us, but we need to clean our apartment. The search for Amelia Earhart is effectively just an I Spy game.
Yeah, so the core gameplay loop is just an I Spy game. You'll see here in not too long that there are a couple other small puzzles you do in the game. But for the most part, it's just an average point and click I Spy game. But there's quite a bit to enjoy about the specifics of the game. Deathline mentioned at the very beginning that Christine is a psychic. The game makes note of this, but it doesn't seem to really care or make it a point of interest that she's a psychic. It's just kind of like, oh yeah, she's a psychic, by the way.
It's just very weird. And she does like psychic power stuff, and it's kind of weird and very interesting. But yeah, effectively it is just an I Spy or find the hidden object game at its core. That being said, this game is actually pretty expansive. You have 3 areas per 8 levels, and each area has like a pretty big pool of items that you can go find and collect. And then you always get like a mini game or so during your sections. This one, you just got to put the newspaper together, and after 20 seconds on the in-game timer, you can actually just skip it. So if you can complete a thing within 20 seconds, it's a little bit faster. But that being said, if you complete it, you get like a little bit of end lag, whereas you wouldn't when you're trying to skip something. So it's actually like 18 seconds, realistically.
I believe that puzzle specifically of putting the newspaper back together is the only one that you can conceivably do consistently under 20 seconds.
That one and the... I mean, this, if it actually works.
Yeah.
And
this counts as a puzzle.
We're fixing the plane in a little bit here.
Yeah, so that's a pretty common minigame there.
Psychic
the coordinate
flashbacks.
stuff.
Oh, something's happened to Amelia. I'm not completely sure. I need objects related to her to help me focus, see what happened. Stuff's happening. We go to her house.
Yes, with our psychic powers, we envision Amelia's house as a child. This is Spot the Difference.
And the only time you play it.
Kind of cool. Yeah, but it's the only time you play in the entire game, and immediately goes back to I Spy. It should be mentioned that the events when the game started took place in July of 1937. If there's any Amelia Earhart histories in the chat.
No, click out of the game.
It's that's when Amelia Earhart went missing. Was July of 1937 on her transatlantic or trans-Pacific flight, excuse me.
And
this game is kind of a love letter to Amelia Earhart in terms of like there's a lot of trivia and stuff in it, but the way it goes about it is strange, like Christine being a psychic. Who's Christine anyways?
Just some person. It's kind of weird. Not really explained. You're just some person who's a really big fan of Amelia Earhart, and you're going off on an adventure.
Dog.
That's James Ferocious, Amelia's dog.
I enjoy that the dog clips through the UI. It's very good.
And I want to get the key piece last here, because once you get all the key pieces, it forces this little mini game of putting the key back together, which I'm not going to bother doing because it's really hard to do that within 20 seconds, so we just skip it. This immediately forces you to go upstairs to the third area, so I would have to come back downstairs if I missed something otherwise. That's why I do this last. There is actual somewhat tech in the game, which is kind of funny for an I Spy game.
Best part, you steal her underwear.
Different girl. She preferred to wear bloomers. Now, that being said, so there's a really big pool of items. You see me clicking various things, and sometimes I don't get it, but when I come back to it, I'll get it later. The generation is completely random, to my knowledge, and sometimes you get stuff at the beginning, sometimes you don't. And then on top of that, there are guaranteed items that you'll get every time you play the game because of story progression. But other times you will not get items because they're just part of the item pool. So a bit of the time you'll just see me clicking around randomly, it looks like, but I'm actually clicking things that can be clicked. Oh, I forgot to talk to him. Yeah, he calls us a chick here in the 1930s.
Here it is, pretty chick.
He also just opened our mail, which is just a federal offense. So...
Yeah, but chick is not historically accurate. Technically, the phrase existed for calling a young woman a chick in the 1930s, but it was not commonly used until the 1950s. So it is very improbable that this random landlord would use the term chick. 0 out of 10.
Amelia played tennis. Thank you. Amelia read poetry books. Thank you. So yeah, Christine has a lot of quips for various required items. It's just interesting, to say the least. I am not clicking on anything it wants. Starfish, pearl necklace. So yeah, now we are in Toronto. We're at a museum of some type that seemingly is actually just a random museum, and we're just stealing stuff from it.
As one does.
As one does. Clicking numbers is hard.
Dang, no mango.
Yeah, so this right here that looks like an apple, that's actually a mango that you can, that's an item pool item, which is very annoying to say the least. Because I don't think it's a mango, I think it's an apple. Which they have another apple here. As I click on the banjo.
I'm going to take a moment to talk about the game's art style. The character portraits in this game actually do look pretty nice. They have some kind of weird storybook almost look to them that makes them kind of charming. Especially Christine and a character that we'll see later. And obviously the landlord looks disgusting, but that's intentional. That's good character design because they wanted him to look as repulsive as possible. So that's good. But then there's other stuff in this game that literally just looks like it was a JPEG ripped off Google. But like if you look at the car, for example, the red car, it looks fine. It looks fine, like something you'd see in like an I Spy book. Yeah. But man, there are some objects you click in this game that are just ridiculously low res and terrible to look at.
So we did the thing. Now we're just talking about Amelia and how she really wanted to fly, and then she spent $1,000, which inflation cost is like $1,300 or $13,000 nowadays on flight lessons. Newfound Land and Dairy, different font. Jigsaw and Scramble are the two types of puzzles that we definitely just do not do whatsoever because they are horribly inconsistent. Also, area like these, there's various areas in the game that just, whatever reason, you don't get background music, so it's just dead quiet, which is really bizarre. They could have just made it work for every single area, but that's above their budget, I guess. And feather. See, over here, background music, but we don't get that otherwise in that first screen, which is interesting, to say the least. What else? We are collecting various motor pieces to fix this plane because she like crashed or something in Derry in her flight, or her plane broke down. So we have to fix it now. And good lord, that plane is a mess.
Oh yeah, there's an I Spy with the plane, and it is arguably one of the worst ones in the game, and I don't mean like difficulty-wise, I just mean like to look at.
So,
you ready for it?
Rust remover and wrench. Boom. Look at this plane.
Why is there so much stuff inside the airplane? Right by the engine. No wonder it broke down.
This little minigame seems like I'm putting stuff in randomly, but it is, you can base off the symbols on the side and the top. My favorite, fire, out of the engine firepower. This is a little,
oh yeah, we do this minigame too.
Jigsaw of fixing the plane here. Pretty simple. I'd like to point out that this plane has a strainer attached to the propeller and also a spoon attached to one of the fins, so no wonder why it crash landed, to be honest. So Ireland, woo, yeah. Amelia, woo, yeah. Now we went from California to Hawaii, which like at the time was pretty impressive, I believe.
Yeah, I mean, Amelia flying from, I think it was LA to Hawaii in 1935 or whatever, it was extremely impressive because, you know, the Pacific Ocean is kind of a big, gigantic, watery grave. So... oh, sandwich time.
Sandwich time. Grab that. A chicken sandwich, her favorite. I have no words for this game with some of the items in the dialogue. Like, why is there just a chicken sandwich on the bed, uneaten, unprotected from all the other dust and things? Just
unprotected from the Hawaii.
Just there. I just don't understand. And the ring. And the doorknob was just off the door on like the desk for whatever reason as well. The ship is also an absolute atrocity with how much stuff's up here.
Yeah, so that knife to like cut away some of the fabric there is, you know, you also saw the handle on the door inside the boat. Just little stuff like that. In the first level, you put the envelope above like the kettle to like melt the glue and stuff. There's like there's those tiny little puzzles here and there besides like the actual like mini game puzzles like the coordinates and stuff like that. So like in a casual playthrough you do have to use like maybe 3 brain cells.
There's definitely a number of items that are like really absurdly difficult, and then like a lot of the other ones are just like so like in your face easy. And it's kind of interesting, to be honest.
As purely as an I Spy game, this game is all right.
It gets a pass.
It's just the writing, the story, some of the grammar, other stuff like that. Like, could have used maybe a bit more time. But at least the like character portraits and stuff look nice. It's cool.
I agree. Cat. We didn't get the cat on this one, which is tragic. Teacup and the heart. Then we have to break open into this luggage and steal a priceless jewel, and then go back to the first room here to use the desk key to get this map. Again, another little bit of tech. I could have walked back from the second area. Oh, I keep skipping text. Like I said, I've been busy. Oh, that's Christine.
Maybe if I had the rent money, I can go and buy my cake at the bakery you mentioned earlier.
Because he wants her to bake. He wants her to bake him a cake, but she told him to go to a bakery. But she actually owes him money. So, yeah, go away. You're ugly. We can send photos or something, and now we're in Ley, New Guinea, which is the last known location Amelia was in that she was seen in person on her around the world flight.
Yeah, so this game does, again, like, fairly tell about the events of Amelia Earhart and gives trivia and stuff like that. It doesn't, it obviously doesn't tell you what happened to Amelia Earhart. Some random I Spy game will not actually tell you, but it does, you know, for the most part, at least follow the basic timeline. In case anybody is wondering, hey, what actually did happen to Amelia Earhart? She probably crashed into the ocean and died. Most likely. So, pour one out.
Where is the coin? There's the coin. Again, an area with no music, but then this area has music for whatever reason. Because they just couldn't simply apply background music. This one, like, audio track. There's, like, 2 audio tracks in the game, and this is, like, the main one. And they just couldn't apply it to, like, every level. Got the rare tomato pick here.
A lot of this, though, is just memorizing all the items that could be, and then doing so, clicking on stuff.
I really hope I get the cat.
I really hope you get the cat as well. If you do not see the cats, we will point out the cat if we do not get the cat. But I really hope we get the cat.
I got the face in the clouds. Cigar. Do this.
No cat. So the cat's at the very bottom, right above where it says pocket knife. When it comes back, you'll see like the blue eyes of the cat, and when the cat is part of the list of required items, it like also like the dog did, it pops through the UI, except it's like way lower, and it, like it's just, I don't know, it's pretty funny.
Making like a really interesting face at you. It's really nice, but that's one of the random items you could get. And then,
extremely sad that an entire cat was not required.
Gotta take the gas nozzle out of the thing, out of the plane to fuel it. This is a whole sad spot where Amelia dies. We don't know where she crash landed. The search dies after like a year and a half. Christine, we have now gone 50 years into the future. It is 1990. Our niece Mary, the nice one that we looked very similar to, was like, hey, Auntie Christine, they found new news about Amelia. There's human remains and utensils and stuff on an island called Niku Maroro Island that might have been hers. And we're like, all right, let's go there. So now we are cleaning up an island full of trash.
Yeah, this is one of the other like theories of what happened to Amelia. There's a couple other ones besides that she just fell into the ocean and died. This island's off like the northeast coast of Papua New Guinea or something like that. And there was something along the lines of like there was some photograph that showed like taken on the island that showed like landing gear, like plane landing gear, and then some like random bones were found, and people were like, "Whoa, it could be Amelia," because it was like, well, definitely because they were like, I think it was like a woman's skeleton, and so people were like eyes emoji, but I don't know. And then the other one was that she turned around to New Guinea and then crashed in the jungle. which I don't buy because I don't get the impression that Amelia Earhart is the kind of woman to turn around. I do not get that impression at all, but could be wrong, of course.
I'm clicking so many things, and it's none of the things I need on screen. Alligator. That one's just called a lizard. This thing right here, ladybug, is called just a beetle. Interestingly enough. This right there, that was called a club. It's also called a clover earlier in game. So the in-game naming is also inconsistent, which just goes to show about like the amount of time actually spent on the finer parts of the game. An entire canoe and then an arrowhead. Now we picked up a shovel earlier, which I have to use here. These two items, the garlic and the teacup, they're both random items. So sometimes you get lucky and you get shovel skip, where you actually don't need to pull the shovel out of the menu to dig up that little patch of dirt, and it saves like all of 2 seconds, which in a pretty short game like this, world record is 20 minutes and 40 seconds by yours truly. 2 seconds can actually make a difference when you're just spam clicking stuff effectively. And here we have to repair the bottle that Amelia potentially drank out of, or something like that. This is one of the puzzles that could be done potentially in the 20-second period, but it's a giant pain because you can't really tell the glass pieces apart from one another. So memorizing it is just like way too much effort.
Exactly, Jeff. Amelia was the kind of one to face God and walk backwards into hell. Absolutely.
Oh yeah, we just pick up turtle bones for whatever reason. So we take the stuff and we're like, wow, that was nice. We're going to donate it to a museum. And then now we are just in an undisclosed museum. Everywhere else in the game has like a city or a location attached to it, like New Guinea or Honolulu, Hawaii. This is literally just called museum in game.
It at least appears to be a flight museum, at the very least. Where is it at? I couldn't tell you, but it at least appears to be that. And this is the last major area of the game?
Yes, this is the final area. This is level 8. Also has like the most stuff in it. The 3 screens have just obnoxious amounts of things. Cigar, magnifying glass, and pencil up here. This screen right here, there's so much stuff. I do not look at the bottom. I just click everything. I go in a circle. I just click everything until I actually get the stuff that I need, and then I start looking at it because there is so much required stuff here. Like I'm just basically clicking everything, and I'm getting some things that it wants, and then I have to go back through to get the things that I missed. Where's the compass? It's over here. Final section of the game here. Last area of the level. And here's the one of like basically the final mini game, jigsaw. Again, the jigsaw is not hard. There's just too many pieces to do within 20 seconds, so that's why we end up skipping it. This is her flight path from Oakland to Miami to Natal, St. Louis, Assab, Calcutta, Darwin, and Leh.
In case you're wondering, yes, there is a St. Louis in Africa. It's in Senegal.
Things like these stage lights, they look horrible.
Yeah, they do. It's so unfortunate when people like Christine, like Mary, have really well drawn and charming character portraits to show that the developers did care at least somewhat. And it's stuff like those stage lights just look terrible.
Knife, dart, and the ring. All right, we did
Almost
the thing. Talking about how she's a women's activist, women's rights activist, and flight legend. Nancy, I think it's time to return home. We deserve a good cake. That reminds me. Would you like to do the honor of doing Mary's voice here?
Sure. Hi, you are the nephew of the old landlord for this building, right?
Yes, babe. Have you got something for me?
It never gets easier. Yeah, it's a message from my auntie to your uncle. Will you take it for him?
Definitely, babe. Give it to me.
So smug. Oh, she also said, it's been a while, but I hope you enjoy the cake.
And that's that. Now we go on a flight with Mary, because her whole shtick is like Christine and Amelia were a big inspiration to her, and she became a pilot because of it. Now we just fly around. Christine's all happy, peaceful. Look at that grin. Look, that's everything. Just happy.
And then timing ends on the black frame. Last black frame.
The end. Thank you for playing. And time.
GG.
GG. That is the search for Amelia Earhart. We definitely went searching for her. And we quote unquote found her. I guess.
The real Amelia Earhart were the friends we made along the way.
And the evil, ugly landlord and their nephews that we threw cake at along the way as well. Yeah, thanks so much for having me, Calithon. This game is quite possibly one of the best and worst games in the entire planet. I don't know how else to describe it. And thank you, Pokehero, for co-commenting.
Of course, thank you guys for having me.
So yeah, that's about it for me. Please enjoy the rest of the event today.